Greetings everybody, coming to you from my 2012 Mercedes-Benz S350 Bluetec diesel 4Matic. So, I would say I've done my initial shakedown drive, trying to avoid potholes here, and overall I would say this car is pretty well sorted. It's got some interesting history in its past. At some point somebody paid like $3,000 to have the massage slash active dynamic seats repaired. There was like a reservoir and maybe an air bladder and some kind of a control module or something like that. So that's actually pretty cool that works, because that is such a neat feature. The one thing I knew about when I bought this car was that the driver's door handle does not work for the keyless go. There is a code stored in the computer for that. And the one thing that manifested while I had the car, and it's intermittent, which is kind of weird, is there's some issue with the right rear tail lamp. Sometimes I can drive it and it'll be fine. Other times I will drive it and I'll get an error on the screen saying check rear tail / brake lamp or something like that. But the weird thing is, when it is acting up, it flashes like it's almost like it's a turn signal, but it's the red part on the bottom that's like shaped like a backwards C with a bunch of LEDs. So maybe the whole assembly is failing. I gotta price that out. I saw some on eBay for like $300, but I don't know if those are new. I would not want to replace it with a used one. It looks like something I could do. There's some videos on how to remove those. The hardest part will be getting the trim out of the trunk, I think, but after that it should just be a few screws and bolts to get it out and replace it. Now, I did scan for codes, and it came up as a rear SAM issue, but then when you read the specifics, it said that the tail lamp component was either faulty or there was a bad connection going to it. So I think I'm sure with like a 90% certainty that the unit itself is what the issue is. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that ordered. I'm trying to maybe cross my fingers that when I take this in for a state inspection, that it just happens to not act up at that time. Now, I've been driving it for a while today. Side note, let's do a quick acceleration. I love that sudden rush of torque when the turbo kicks in. It's fantastic. It's so addictive. There's definitely a bit of lag there. But anyway, as usual, I lost my train of thought. I think I may have been done talking about the rear tail lamp. Maybe not, but oh yeah, the West Virginia inspection. So yeah, if that's acting up, it won't pass. But you know, there's some days I drive it where it's fine, like today, for example. Too bad I don't have a inspection appointment today. And it may have something to do with whether you simultaneously have the headlamps on. And right now I have the setting to off, but when I first started the car, it was dark enough that it actually turned the lights on. So I don't think that is necessarily the case. I think it's just kind of random. And I did the old school method of tapping on it to see if that helps, but so far no luck. A lot of times in an old German car, you could just tap on something and it would start working again. So that being said, I mean, otherwise, this car is just very well sorted, very well maintained. It had a recent service where all the fluids were done. The transmission oil was done, I believe, for the first time at 88,000 miles, which is fine. It had this major service was in 2022, but it's only gone 4,000 miles since then. And then the last oil change was in December of 23, and then the car basically sat since then. And I think that may also have something to do with some of the electronics acting up. German cars don't like to sit. So that is a possibility. There was one concerning thing to me. So this kind of baffled me. There was a Mercedes dealer that serviced this car when they did the AEM and all the other service. They used 229.5 oil, which is not specified for the diesel engine. That's actually the gasoline engine oil, and that oil has higher, they call it SAPs, let's see, soot, ash, phosphorus, and sulfur. So all of those things can poison the DPF, but I think it's fine. It was only in there for 4,000 miles, then it was changed. I'm probably going to do another change here in a little while. Not like immediately, because the correct oil is in it now, and I'm sure they got like 95% of the oil out of there when they changed it the last time. And I haven't had any issues with regeneration. I know it's been through at least one regeneration since then, DPF regeneration. But, you know, the good news is the AEM warranty being done in 2022 at 88,000 miles means this car has a whole lot of warranty on it until 2026, or probably more miles than I'm going to put on it in that time frame. Oh yeah, there is one other thing, and I keep forgetting about it. We're supposed to have another cold morning tomorrow. I'm going to try to capture this on another video for the cold start. It does stumble a bit for the first couple seconds after started. So I think there may be a weak glow plug or two going on. And again, the good news is I do believe those are covered by the AEM warranty. That's why it's such a good deal to buy a diesel right now, a diesel Mercedes right now that has had that done, and the car still comes with that warranty. It's pretty extensive. I did post a video earlier about what all it covers, but it's way more than you would expect. The only thing it doesn't cover, to my knowledge, is the DEF heater. And I do know that was replaced once on this car. That is probably the single most common failure point of modern diesels. It has happened on every one I've ever owned. And usually it happens within like the first 3 years. Now, this one, I don't remember what year it was replaced. I did see that it was replaced. So, you know, maybe the replacement part is better. Who knows? We'll see how long before that acts up. But, you know, looking through the whole history on this car, it's really not as bad as one might think. These cars do have their glitches and gremlins, but, you know, I figure maybe $2,000 a year, $2,500 a year for maintenance and repairs on average is probably about what to expect. These cars weren't cheap to maintain when they were new. They weren't cheap to buy when they were new. This one had a sticker of about 99,000 and change, and that's back in 2011, or maybe it was 2012, not sure. Hey, there goes a first gen RAV4. I think that was the first gen. So that carries forth to subsequent owners. You can buy these cars cheap, but they're never going to be cheap to maintain. Now some Benzes are better than others, but the W221 and basically any S-Class in general is always going to be a bit of a can of worms. You know, you just hope you get one that's well sorted and in decent shape, like this one is. And it will be interesting to see what pops up on this car. I think this car is very likely going to have things pop up from time to time and need attention. I fully expected that when I bought it. I had no illusions of this being a completely reliable car by any stretch. But at the same time, I think, you know, once the little things are addressed here and there, that it will hold up and it will last. The engine itself is pretty bulletproof. I mean, it does have its share of issues, mostly around oil leaks. But other than that, I think they're pretty bulletproof. The transmission, with proper maintenance and care, is pretty bulletproof. This is the 7G Tronic Plus. I think they actually do quite well. So, yeah, that's my initial thoughts on this car after having owned it enough to really get used to it and form an opinion on it. I've put like almost 700 miles on it, and it's really a joy to drive. There's really nothing like an S-Class. This one is more, it's closer to the W221 in terms of feel and solidity. That would be the 81 to 91 S-Class. That always had like a solid tank feel. And then the 2000 to 2006 S-Class that came before this, it was great. I owned one. Actually, I owned two of them. But they didn't quite have the solid feel of like the W126. Now for the W221, which is this car, so this would be the 2007 to 2013 S-Class sedan, of course. They got back to more of that old school solidity and build quality and stuff like that. So that's one thing in particular about this car, is the way it drives is very old school Benz. You know, nice hefty steering, hefty feel on the road, while still being light on its feet and handling well and feeling very safe and secure. Almost like kind of conflicting things, like handling well and riding nice. This does it very well, and the older Mercedes were always able to do that in a very impressive way. So yeah, would I recommend one? It just depends. As long as you know what to expect and you have some mechanical aptitude and can afford to keep it up, you know, then yeah, of course. But do your homework on the history of the car, know what it's been through, what kind of maintenance it's had. I'm more specifically talking about the diesel model. but you know, the gas models are essentially the same, minus the engine and drivetrain and stuff like that. So yeah, well, that's it for this video. Have a great day, everyone.